respected officers, associate NCC officers, permanent instructors, and my dear kids. This is the last session of our lecture on communication skills. Before beginning the very session, I once again wish to thank the organizers, and my sincere thanks go to Principal of Nesamani Memorial Christian College, Marthanda, that is Dr. K. Paul Raj, and the Principal of St. Xavier's Catholic Engineering College, Nagarkovil, Dr. J. Maheshwaran, and Colonel Vinod Bhaskar, Commanding Officer of 11th Tamil Nadu Battalion, NCC, and of course, the AO of the battalion, Colonel V.V. Prasad, and my dear friends, the associate NCC officers of both the college, Major Dr. Edwin Gladson and Captain Dr. A. Boyd Wesley. Thank you very much for considering me for this national workshop on role of youth in national building, nation building. I just spent some time with you. I don't know how effective I was. I just try my best to help. Maybe some of you or other, I could have helped you. Anyway, thank God, and I thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. And my sincere thanks to the cadets as well. Yeah, I could just come to a program in Tamil Nadu. My mind just came there, my soul just came there, my spirit was there. I was, of course, with you all. And so glad that I could be with you all for some time. Just pray for me. My prayers go to each of the officers there, the students there. And of course, let us pray for the entire world, because we are in a very dangerous time. COVID-19, the pandemic is just spreading a lot of chaos around us, and a lot of people just have problems like death, poverty, medical issues, all that. Let us just pray unto God, and may God just intervene, and maybe we just rid of this calamity. Thank you all once again. We just come to the last session of the lecture, communication skills, and part 3 we are discussing effective communication. Effective communication. And previous sessions we learned about communication, and of course ways of communication, styles of communication, and now we come to effective communication. What is effective communication? When will the communication of an individual be fruitful, effective? And when is it fruitful? I wish to draw your attention to a quotation right now. You have the great thinker and great businessman, that is of course the prominent businessman, Jim Robin. And Jim Robin has just uttered, he said, if you just communicate, you can get by. But if you communicate skillfully, you can make miracles. This is what I have to tell you. This is what I have to tell you about effective communication. Look at the board. If you just communicate, you can get by. If you just communicate, you can get by. But if you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles. This is what I have to tell everybody. This is what we have to remember. This is what is effective communication. I said the quotation 2 times, and I don't hesitate to repeat it once more. Of course, we have a lot of theoretical principles and ideas about effective communication, but there is so much truth in what this quotation contains. If you just communicate, you just get by. But if you communicate skillfully, you make miracles, right? So now we have to learn what is effective communication. Effective communication is communication which can make miracles, which can make miracles, which can make relationships, which can just console people, which can just cure people, which can just build things, build the nation. That is role of youth in nation building. Okay, building the nation, contributing constructively, contributing qualitatively. Anyway, although we know what is, I just told you what is effective communication, we have to come back to the theoretical aspects, and we understand the fact that effective communication involves three things. Effective communication, I repeat, you can write, cadets can write it. Effective communication involves three things. Number one, verbal communication. Number two, non-verbal communication. Number three, listening. Very important. Even your NCC C certificate examination, B certificate examination, very, very important. What can decide effective communication? What are the points, or what are the aspects of communication that would of course result, or that is very crucial in effective communication? One is verbal communication, number two is non-verbal communication, and number three is listening. And it should be the proper, there must be proper verbal communication. Proper verbal communication. What is proper verbal communication? Proper verbal communication is, okay, one person speaks to the second person. There is a speaker, there is a listener, and these two have to be in the right mode. They must have the appropriate mental disposition, attitude, and the person should care for the listener, respect the listener, think of the needs of the listener, and the listener should of course care for the speaker, respect the speaker, listen totally to the speaker, completely respecting the speaker. So this kind of a mutual respect between the speaker and the listener is essential for verbal communication. And again, remember, verbal communication is speech, and for verbal communication, language efficiency is a must. Speaking, listening, speaking, reading, writing, all this is essential for our listening capacity. We should be able to listen and understand. And speaking, we should be able to speak the right words in the right structure, right sentence. Similarly, we should be able to pronounce the words in the right way. All right. Every language has its own accent, pronunciation, and the English language or the Hindi, every language, any language, and that all that will of course come under effective communication, verbal communication. The very words we use, the very sentence structure or syntax, or the very accent or pronunciation, the tone, the intonation. Then next is of course, right, voice. It's very important, voice is very important. Verbal communication, one thing is very important, that's voice. I have been to many camps, and I have interacted with a lot of cadets in the camps. I have also interacted with the students of the colleges, and often I am disappointed, because why? Because they don't speak in a loud voice. This is the reason they don't speak in a loud voice. So voice is very important. They should speak with enough voice, right? Speak things loudly, and when you speak things loudly, of course you give the indication that you are confident. So if you don't speak loudly, you're speaking in a very low voice, your listener will not hear you. Maybe you're speaking on a stage, you are on a stage and you are addressing a gathering, and if you're speaking in a low voice, they will easily understand that you are diffident, you're not confident. So verbal communication, your words, your pronunciation, your intonation, your stress, your stops. And remember, in verbal communication, in speech, it is not it is not just speaking alone. Yeah, I'm just pausing for some time. And this kind of pauses must be there. There must be silence as well. And this silence, we just stop for some time. What happens? The listener can just, yeah, hear everything, grasp everything. So there must be silent as well. Okay, so that is again verbal, not always talking. Okay, so if there is silence, of course, right, you will know that, yeah, there was a noise, right? There can be and when sound comes after a silence, you hear it very well. So there must be, so that's very important. Speak, and youngsters, especially youngsters, must remember, each time you speak, you are introducing yourself, right? Your commanding officer comes for the enrollment, or rather the commanding officer is interviewing you. You have to go for a national camp. You are of course going for maybe the Republic Day selection camp, and there you have the interview. And when the commanding officer or any of the officers are interviewing you, speak with confidence, speak loudly, and your voice very important. And this habit of speaking loudly must be inculcated from very low level, from school days onwards. Lower primary, upper primary, middle school, high school, higher secondary. And my dear students, my dear cadets, dear friends, if you do not have that habit of speaking loudly, please have it, practice it, speak loudly, full throat, with your heart out. You are just taking your energy out. The entire air in your lungs must come out. Your spirit has to come out. That is the right kind of modulation of voice. That is modulation of voice. Speak with voice, speak with confidence. You are going to be a success. And along with this, you should remember that maybe you are in a lecture, you are giving a lecture, you are in a program, you are giving the talk, okay? And if there are, of course, sounds from outside, that could be a problem for, of course, verbal communication. So much of noise coming from outside, a factory behind the building, maybe nearby, of course, some constructions going on, some kind of unloading is going on, some kind of excavations going on, rather, right? So this type of industrial works and constructions going on, a lot of noise from outside can hamper proper communication. So verbal communication, so okay, speak in a very clear way, and again, not very fast. Sometimes we go very fast, right? So not again very fast. So speak with the right voice, with the right modulation of voice, with of course proper sentence structure. And sentence structure, remember, some people, they just go with very long sentence. They start with one, yeah, the Indo-Pak relationship is not very good. There are problems. There are here militancy. See, they just start with something and they end with something. Single sentence. No pause, no full stop, no comma, no hyphen, nothing. Single sentence will continue till maybe for some 20 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. That is terrible. That's terrible. Let's not just do. See, let us just go for simple sentences. Simple sentences. Okay. The relationship between India and Pakistan is not that good. There are problems. Problems at the border. Infiltrations we have at times. So such type of simple sentences, stopping there, stopping here. All right. So just letting the listener to ponder, think. That is proper verbal communication. And now we move on to the second point of effective communication, that is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication refers to, okay, it's not speaking. All right, speaking alone is not communication, I said some time ago. Non-verbal communication refers to, okay, yeah, your facial expressions, your eyes. Where do you look? Do you look at everybody? Do you look at all the people in the auditorium, in the front row, in the middle, at the back, right side, left side, front, back, everywhere? Your eyes must go everywhere. There must be very, very apt gestures as well. When you say it's a big problem, it should be a big problem. Not it should be. This is not right. It's a big problem. It's wrong. It's a big problem. Okay, it's not a big it's not a big issue. All right, it's not a big issue. It should be like that. All right. So it's not a big issue. All right. So proper gestures, proper limbs, coordination of the limbs. All right, that should be there. That is non-verbal. Appropriate gestures, appropriate eye contact, appropriate voice. All right, all this is part of. Then again, tone. You are speaking in a normal way, normal statements you have, speak in that way. You are raising a question, ask it as a question. Do you know what happened in 1924? All right, you are asking a question. That should be a question. Do you know what happened in 1947? It's a question. It should be a question. What happened in Nagasaki? Question. Sound should go up. What happened in Hiroshima? What happened in Kuwait? What's happening at the border between India and China? See, this kind of tone must be there. And when you can use the tone in the right way, accent, the rising and the falling, and that kind of rhythm of the language, if that's there, your speech is good. You have the apt kind of communication skill, and you are going to be accepted by, received by your audience, and they will try to, of course, follow you. I wish to speak like him. Right? So, non-verbal communication, proper gestures, proper manners, apt intonation, accent, right? Nodding of the head, frowning sometimes, smiling sometimes. You can even laugh sometimes. Okay, there's nothing wrong because you want to give the feeling to the audience that yeah, you are one with them. So just be at home and do all this with so much of sincerity. And another very important thing in non-verbal communication is right. Okay, yeah, I am standing here and my distance with the audience. Okay, if somebody is just standing in front of me, I better keep some distance. It is not because of COVID-19, not because of social distancing. Even otherwise, there must be proper distance, right? We shouldn't just go very close to the audience. That's very bad. Maybe a little bit of spit, little bit of breath, little bit of maybe yeah, some air, etc. can come from our mouth, and it can just cause some kind of discomfort and repulsion to the audience. Okay, even when you have no virus issue, no COVID issue, no problem like that, keep some distance with the audience, right? And that distance again, you must not be far away from the audience, right? Okay, you have a big stage, and if you are just leaning on the wall, and there is some 25-yard distance between you and the audience, that's very bad. So proper distancing, yeah, maybe 5 feet, 6 feet, that's good length. Good distance is 6 feet. Keep maintain 4 feet or 5 feet, yeah, 6 feet distance, not more than that, not less than that. So this kind of proper distancing is also very, very crucial in non-verbal communication. Okay, so gestures, manners, eye contact, modulation of voice, distancing, and a coordination of all that. Always respect for the audience. Okay, now we come to the third point of effective communication, that is listening. Effective communication is not just speaking alone. Speaking alone is not communication. One has to listen as well. But most often we are not good listeners. We just want to make a lot of noise here. I want to speak about myself, my family, my wife, my son, my daughter, my college, my NCC cadets. All right. I must listen to the others. What's happening in his family? What's happening in his directorate? What's happening in his college? Okay, so listening, we must listen to the other person. We must be very attentive. Yes, very attentive. The speaker must feel that we care for him. Look at him. look at his lips, look at his eyes, hear him properly. All right, and remain very attentive. If we are not attentive, we are just looking at the watch. Okay, we take the phone, look at the phone, read the message, send a message, receive a message, scratch your head. That's not being a good listener. So don't do anything of that sort. Don't look out. Okay, so you have your friend talking, you have your commander talking, you have your principal talking, and another thing is, right, the terrible thing, the most horrible thing is just yawning. Yawning is very, very bad. Don't do that. You could be sleepy. You may not have slept enough the other night, but when you are in front of somebody, when you are talking to them, don't yawn. Yawning is very bad. That's the kind of insult on that person. Please don't do that. Okay, so with this, of course, we can sum up effective communication. There must be proper verbal communication, use of language, use of words, use of sound, and there must be appropriate kind of non-verbal communication, gestures and all. And one has to be a very good listener. And a very good listener is, it could be, it doesn't matter whether it is a cadet or whether it is the ANO or whether it is the principal or whether it is the CO. Anyone, CO has to be a listener, ANO has to be a listener, cadet has to be a listener, especially ANOs and principals and the CEOs should listen to cadets as well. They will be having a lot of problems. Yeah. And we should not give the impression that we are some kind of angry men. If they speak out something, we will just explode. No, that's very bad. We should be like everybody, like, yeah, you must be like a kind person, loving person, caring person, and cadets or your friends or your audience must feel that they can share anything. That should be the listener, the best listener. Okay, so with that we can just come to the end of the entire session. Okay, we just had a wonderful time. We just discussed communication skills. We saw what communication is. We saw different aspects of communication skills. We also saw different types of communication skills. We saw what different ways and styles of communication skills. We also discussed effective communication. And I sum up the lecture by saying the words of the very great person Jim Robin, that if you just communicate, you can get by. But if you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles. If you just communicate, you can get by. But if you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles. So before winding up, once again, I thank the Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, Andaman and Nicobar Directorate for arranging this wonderful 5-day workshop on the role of youth in nation building for the NCC cadets. And I thank and congratulate and just love all of you. Yeah, I have a lot of positive feelings towards you. I thank the officers. I thank everybody, and my cadets. Thanks a lot for listening to me. I know I might have been quite long. I should have just prolonged a lot, but my purpose was also to just help you. So, my dear cadets in Tamil Nadu, especially in the colleges, St. Xavier's Catholic College, Nagarkovil, and of course, Nesamani Memorial Christian College, Marthandam. May God bless you all. May you have success. May you communicate effectively, and may your communication make miracles in your life. Thank you so much for being with me. Bye-bye.